Hello, beauties. Welcome to Moms Unboxed, a podcast where I unbox with you the how to's, tips, and tricks to empower women to upgrade relationships, intimacy, and parenting. I'm your host, Melanie Caroline, a multidimensional woman, life coach, lover, and mom who's made a lot of fucking mistakes. If you want to live a sensual and liberated life, you've come to the right space. Don't forget to follow Moms Unboxed because you don't want to miss an episode. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Moms Unboxed. I am so thrilled that you can join me this week as we unbox the 10 skills every mom should acquire. Now, this is coming from me, a person who did not grow up with a healthy mother. And so you may find that these skills you need to learn or have learned through your journey of being a mom. Now, a little background story for you is that I grew up with a mother who was an addict. And I took on a lot of the responsibility as a very young girl. And I used to say that I didn't have childhood years. Now, I know that thinking and that mindset for myself has shifted, but at times that was very much the story that I grew up with, is that I didn't have a childhood. And so as a mother, growing up without a mother, I have learned a lot about being a mom, and I've made a lot of mistakes through this journey. And oftentimes, I wish that I had a mother that I could learn from, call her up and say, "Hey, I'm navigating this thing with my kid, and how can I move forward from this? How can I be the best mom that I can be?" Now, this isn't the case. I have had to teach myself how to be a mother. So now I want to teach you these 10 skills that I believe every mom should acquire. Now, my very first one is inner awareness. I can go on and on about how meditation and mindfulness has literally shifted my entire life. And through the journey of meditation and mindfulness, I have become very self aware. And in order to elevate my role as a mother, and in order to elevate yours, you have to become self aware. Understanding your body, knowing your mind, understanding your triggers. What stories are you telling yourself about you being a mom? What limiting beliefs do you believe about yourself, about being a mom? Perhaps it's you feel like you can't provide enough because you can't buy your kids the best new Nike shoes. Or perhaps you're feeling unworthy because you can't provide a cell phone like the other moms can. Or perhaps you're telling yourself you're not a good fit to be a mom because you yell and you're reactionary. All these beliefs and stories can shift. You can create new processes, a different mindset, and new stories and beliefs can be created for you. But you first have to be aware of them. Simply being aware will tell you a lot about what it is you're experiencing as a mother, as an individual, as a woman. It will tell you what your baseline and threshold is for stress, for holding space for your child, what your threshold is before you become frustrated, before you become reactionary. And once we can understand these parts of us, we can expand our ability to be more patient, to be responsive, more compassionate, to show more sympathy and love to our children when they're going through a very hard time. And when you can become aware, you amplify your awareness for your children. You understand them on a deeper level, and it can be used as a tool to teach them about their inner compass and inner self. You can begin to understand what their baseline is and why they become frustrated or triggered. And so it is through this journey of awareness that an entire world is shown to us. And we are no longer just in the human self, but we understand ourselves on a soul level. You can use many tools to gain awareness. Meditation, mindfulness, mindful walking, doing things that light you up. Perhaps it's painting, and you get to mindfully paint and be in tune with your body. To have this deep awareness, you have to be open and curious to the inner parts of you. And you have to take self-accountability. You have to be willing to say, yes, this is causing me frustration and it's very triggering. And when you develop this emotional intelligence, when you further this awareness, you can communicate on a whole nother level where you might be angry and reactionary. And when you drop into awareness, when you expand and take accountability, you can grow to understand how you can prevent the reactions, how you can hold the frustration and anger and acknowledge it rather than reacting to it. And you can communicate with your children. Hey, when you do this, mom gets frustrated. And when mom gets frustrated, I tend to yell. And this is something I'm working on. I'm working on being softer, to speak more calmly, to hold more compassion. And it's when we can further ourselves in this way that we evolve as a parent, as a mother. So that is number one, expanding your ability to be aware, to understand yourself, what causes you to yell, to be frustrated, to put your kids in timeout when you know it's probably not necessary. And when you understand these parts of you, you communicate better. You take accountability for your own emotions rather than creating this scenario in your mind that it's your child's fault. Your child is learning and developing and understanding themselves. They need your support. So support them by learning and growing yourself. Number two, the second skill that every mom should acquire is connection. Connect first with yourself by building that self-awareness and understanding where you need to meet your needs, wants, and desires. Where is it that you need to take a time out? Where is it that you need to work on your physical body so that you could feel better? Is it that you need to eat healthier, drink more water so that you can be a stable, centered parent? Can you create for yourself a calm nervous system? Because if we're not meeting our needs, our nervous system is going haywire. And it's when our nervous system is going crazy that we become reactionary, that we're not thinking from a calm, centered mind. We're not dropping into our body to really understand the parts of us that are perhaps causing frustration, anger, and upset. And so we need to understand how to connect with ourselves on a deeper level so that we can address those needs. So that we can come to our children being calm, being centered, being able to explain ourselves better so that our children can understand our internal workings, what causes us frustration by us explaining to them. Like when my child, he likes to clap, and these claps are so high pitched and they drive me fucking crazy. I used to be like, go to your room. I used to just yell because it was like piercing my brain. And now I can approach him with, hey, when you do that, it's so high pitched that it really hurts my ears and it causes me frustration. I ask that if you're going to make that sort of noise, that you go upstairs or go to the garage. Please, please do that. And he's understanding what upsets me. And when our child understands what is upsetting to us, they don't do it as much. Because I don't think a child is literally, sometimes I do think this, I take that back. But in general, I don't believe your child is sitting there saying to themselves, I want to piss mama. I want to piss mama. I want to irritate mom. And now at times I feel like my teenager does want to irritate the crap out of me, but I don't think it's intentional. It's not the goal. The goal is for them to express themselves at their highest capacity. And sometimes that's really loud and sometimes it's very irritating. But if we can explain this to our children, we can understand what triggers us, what causes us this frustration, the anger, the irritation. We can explain that to our children so that we can create a more peaceful environment because they know, oh, right, when I do this, mom yells, or when I do this, mom gets irritated. And in result, she loses her patience. Eventually, she yells. Do you see how us understanding ourselves and connecting with ourselves deeply can actually help create a more peaceful environment because you're communicating? Now, another part of connection is connecting with our children where they're at. What is it you can do for your child to connect with them on a deeper level? Now, because of my upbringing, I didn't really grow up playing. I did to some extent, but it was so deeply ingrained in me that I had to be responsible, that there was no room for play, that I sometimes forget to connect with my children playfully. And I'm all about business sometimes, getting things done, the dishes, chores. Hey, you want to start a new garden? This is what we have to do, and I forget that I have to make it fun for the kids. And I've got to connect with them where they're at on their level, doing things that interest them, not just what interests me. And so I will ask my children, what is fun for you that we can do? How can I connect with you further? And oftentimes it's, hey, let's go outdoors. Let's go for a hike and a bike ride. And my daughter, she loves to crochet. So for her, it's, let's sit down and crochet together or cuddle and watch a movie. Like there are things that your children want to do with you. And if you ever notice your child shifts their hobbies to match yours, I want mom's time and attention. What does mom like to do? Okay, mom likes to paint. So, mom, can we paint? Even though they might not have any interest in painting, they just want to spend time with you. So, notice that too. Notice how you both are connecting with each other and ask them, hey, does this really interest you? Or what can we do today that you want to do? Give them that option. Show them that you're willing to meet them there. Connect with them on a deeper level. The third skill every mom should acquire is the ability to communicate. So we've talked about building up your awareness and understanding what triggers you, what causes you to be reactionary. And once you can understand those things, you can communicate from a root of kindness and love and understanding so that not only are you having grace with yourself, you're having grace with your child. You're understanding right speech. And what do I mean by right speech? It's that you're calm, you're cool, you're collected. You're not blaming your child. You're not gaslighting them. You're understanding your tone, volume. You're understanding the energy within yourself when you're talking. And so our emotions and our feelings impact our tone, our volume, and our fluctuations. It also impacts our body language. So when you are self-aware, you're understanding how it is you're talking, the tone of voice and the volume you're using. You're making sure that your words are coming from a place of kindness rather than anger and upset. So that when you talk to your children, communicating and having conversation is coming from a safe and secure place, a place of love and compassion rather than anger and upset. When you communicate, you allow this space between you and your child to be safe. You are inviting them to have a conversation rather than shutting them down, punishing them, and putting them to their room. Because, in my opinion, that shit doesn't work. It doesn't work to just put someone in their room and punish them. Because in their mind, they're thinking, what did I do wrong? I don't understand. Why is mom so upset? They want to know the why. Why are you upset? What did I do? Because in their mind, they might just be being a kid. Or they made a mistake, they dropped something. And so often parents want to be so reactionary, they don't leave room for mistakes. And so when we can communicate with them, we can invite them in. We can explain to them why you were triggered, why you were upset, what was causing that. And in that way, we're creating a safe, compassionate, loving environment to communicate. The fourth skill that every mom should acquire is being loving. So being loving in your communication, being loving in your body language, inviting them in for a hug and giving them a kiss. When I first became a mom to the twins, shortly after, maybe the twins were a year old and my oldest was 6, I got into this very unhealthy relationship. And this caused me to just absolutely hate myself. I didn't know how to get out of this relationship. I was balancing between being a mother, being in this role, and hating myself. And in hating myself, I literally think I started my period, y'all. Maybe not. Time out. I was on a good roll. Okay, obviously false alarm. I took a bath this morning, so you know how that goes. Anywho, sorry to pause our very intense conversation, but girl's gonna check. Can be sitting here doing a podcast with this flow going. No flow, false alarm. Okay. So being loving in the way you treat your child. When I was in this like self-hatred mode, I was so distant, reactionary. I didn't love on my kids. I, in fact, thought my kids didn't even need me. And I noticed the effects. And now I'm like, I'm going to fucking pour all the love out on all 3 of you till the day I fucking die. Because I fucked up. And I'm okay admitting that. I fucked up when I was younger. I thought a man baby needed me more than my actual kids did. And that is something for another podcast. But be loving towards your children. If you find that you're yelling more than you are speaking calmly, shift it. If you're finding that you're distant more than you are present, shift it. If you're finding that you aren't loving towards yourself, fucking change. Because I say this, is that you are a reflection of how you treat people. So if you are distant and not loving towards your children, you're not loving towards yourself. And you need to change that as a mother. Your children need love. They need your time, your energy, your patience, your compassion, your sympathy, and your love. So be loving towards your children. Understand where it is you need to change and do that. The 5th skill, be present. I wasn't a present mom in their early years. I have some guilt to resolve around that, and I'm okay expressing that. With technology, television, our own internal problems and adult shit that we go through, the chores, the cooking, the cleaning, all the shit that we have to do, it's easy to tune out and be in our own world and like go into doing mode and do. And we're not being present with our children. They're on video games. They're upstairs in their own room. They're doing their own thing. Take the time to be present somewhere in the day. Love on them. Speak to them.
Ask them about their day and their friends and what they learned at school. Really, truly listen to what they have to say. Memorize their little beautiful faces. I sometimes I'll just stare at my children and memorize the little freckles on my daughter's face. And the little freckles, I mean, they all have little cute freckles on their face. Their little faces are going to change and their voices are going to shift. And they're growing and it happens so quickly. Take the time and energy to be present with your children because children grow to teens and teens aren't so interested in hanging out with their parents. I'm going through that now as my son, he just wants to come home and he wants to go upstairs and watch his TV. And I'm like, no, bro, come check in with me when you get home. Let's say hi. Let's have a conversation. Let's talk about your homework, talk about your day. Be present with them. There is nothing more important in your fucking life than your children. Well, I would say yourself is pretty important, but nothing more is important than your children. Take the time to be with them. Take the time to do things to connect that interests them. Ask yourself, how can you connect and be present? Number 6, every skill a mom should acquire is patience. Now, we've talked about patience a bit when we were talking about having self-awareness. Your child is growing so rapidly and like it's very noticeable at infancy. They start crawling and then they start walking and then they're learning how to use a fork and to feed themselves and to drink from a cup. Like there's all these significant stages in development that occur both physically and mentally that when your child becomes like an adolescent, like 9, we forget that they're still learning and growing. We expect them to just know how to load the dishwasher, to wash a dish, to wash their own hair. Like there's this expectation that we have and we forget to teach. Like we're just like, okay, go do the thing. And then we forget to teach. And then when they don't do it right, we get upset and we stop having patience like we used to when they were crawling. We weren't yelling at our children, hurry up, stand up and walk. Like, hurry up and feed yourself with a fork. We weren't doing that. We were Googling and goggling over them and taking pictures of them crawling and standing up and then falling down. And we thought it was the cutest fucking thing in the world. But then they grow up and we're like, hurry up and fucking tie your shoe. I don't understand why you can't tie your shoe. I don't understand how you can't load the dishwasher. I don't understand how you don't know how to wash this dish. We forget that they're learning. And even the big kid things still have to be taught. Even as an adult, we shouldn't stop learning. We should always be evolving and growing and learning new things. But the problem is we get complacent. We just think we've tapped out. Oh, finished high school, finished college. I'm good now. Don't need to learn anything more. Thank you. My learning days are over. And we have this same mentality towards our children. Well, they're 10. They should be able to know how to do it all. Come on, get going. Until they learn how to drive. And then we put our teaching hat back on and we teach them how to drive. Our children are growing and developing and their hormones are raging and their bodies are changing. And those things need to be taught too. My oldest son and I, we have all kinds of conversations about puberty, hormones, body developing, because I got tossed a book. And I did give my son a book, but we also talk about the things. I didn't want him to wake up one day and not understand what a wet dream was. Like, I want my kids to understand their bodies and what they're going through. And so you need to have patience with your child. If you are a mom who has forgotten that your child is still growing and learning things, and they might not know how to do the certain chores that you need them to do, they need to be taught. Have the patience to teach them. Even as a teenager, even as a young adult, you're going to be teaching them how to create a resume, how to do an interview, how to run a bank account and a checkbook and all the things. If you're getting frustrated with them while you're teaching them, they're not going to want to be taught. They're going to say, oh, no, I got it. I'm good. And they're not good, but they're good off your attitude. You know, they need a parent to have patience for them. So ask yourself, what are 3 ways that you can expand your patience towards your children? And remind yourself, these babies are learning, they're growing. It doesn't matter the age. Number 7, the 7th skill every mom should acquire is forgiveness. Because your child is learning, because your child is growing and developing and understanding their purpose in the world, they're going to make mistakes, just as you made mistakes. Where can you show more forgiveness towards your child? Where can you have sympathy? Are you getting upset because your child broke a glass? I'm so thrilled with my response because I can see how my leadership and my role as a mother has expanded for the better. Because my children will spill shit all the time, break something, and I say, "Oh, it's okay. It's a mistake. It's all right." I allow them to make mistakes because you know what? One day they're going to come to me when they're older and they're going to say, "Mom, I really made a mistake. I lied to a friend or I copied off someone else's homework. Not proud of it." And I'm going to say, "How can we learn from this? How can we grow? Is this something that you can avoid next time?" Because they deserve that opportunity. They deserve the opportunity to learn lessons. We're not born with a download of lessons that we're going to avoid in our life. That's not the case. We take the actions, make the mistake, we learn from them, and we grow from that wisdom. Hopefully they don't make the same mistakes. But I know I've made several mistakes, especially within my relationships. Well, let me run after the next toxic person that's going to make me feel like shit. That's a great idea. And I had to learn those mistakes. And expanding your forgiveness towards your child also starts with you. Just like the self-awareness piece that I started at the beginning of the episode, forgiveness starts with you. Where can you be more forgiving and have grace for yourself as a mother? Where are you being so hard on yourself that you're not allowing any self-compassion? Because like I said, you are a reflection of how you treat people. So if you have no forgiveness towards your children, you're self-critical. You're critical towards your children. You're critical towards your partner because you have this pressure within you to be perfect. Perfection is an illusion. I'm saying it one more time, ladies. Perfection is an illusion. You don't need to be perfect. You are human, and part of the human experience is learning, growing, adjusting, and amplifying the wisdom so you don't create the same mistakes that you have already dealt with. Forgiveness is allowing your children the grace to learn and grow, to make the mistake because they're little human beings trying to figure it out in this world. And I'm telling you, if you haven't figured out the world, ain't sure shit no 5-year-old has, or a 10-year-old, or 15-year-old, or 20-year-old. It doesn't matter. We're still figuring out, and we're going to be figuring it out till the day we die. All we can do is love ourselves, love our children through the process, and be forgiving and show grace and compassion for them. The 8th skill that every mom should acquire is the ability to be flexible. Now, we've talked about this a little bit throughout the episode, but if you are finding that you are so rigid and it's causing you so much stress, take a look at where you're trying to control. Where are you holding on so tight that there's no flexibility, no room for adjustment, no room to shift? Let go of control. Moms need to be more flexible. They need to adjust. They need to pivot. They need to be okay with things changing. And we grasp on for control because we don't want change. But the reality is, life is changing all around us all the time. And it's your inability to move with the waves that we get stressed out and frustrated. And then we react and we just become not the best version of ourselves because, JoJo woke up sick and you're pissed off because you just had to cancel your entire day. Well, don't get pissed off at the kid. The kid's just, she's sick. She's not feeling good. But you've got this tight grasp on how every day should look and how every day should go. That inability is actually that inability to be flexible is actually causing you suffering. See, when we release our control, when we release expectation of how something should go, and we learn to move with the waves, we allow more peace to enter. We allow our ability to just be prepared for the shifts and the changes. You become like water, and water flows where it needs to go in the current. You're not fighting it. You're not trying to control it. You're just moving along with it, and you're adjusting as things need to be adjusted. This is going to create so much more peace in your life when you can expand this ability to be flexible and to adjust. When you release control on the things that you honestly can't control. You can't control if your child is sick. There are things outside of us that we can't control, yet when we try to control them, we get fucking pissy and we get angry and we blame someone else. And a lot of the time that means you're blaming your child. It's not your child's fault. It's your fault for not being able to be flexible and adjust. They don't like to point blame, and you can get pissy, but it's the truth. We as leaders, as moms, are responsible for our ability to adjust. And this isn't just as being a mom, this is our life, that we have to learn to be grateful for what we have and not look at what we don't have, to shift our mindset, to look at things from a place of abundance. This is where we release the control. When we can show gratitude for what we have, we can be grateful for the pivots of our day. We can be grateful for where the river is taking us. Number 9 is our ability to soften. This is such a huge one for me. I have struggled to soften because I have literally grown up in masculine energy, always doing, always going. Where is the next goal? How can I achieve the next thing? Like, okay, let's get the chores done, the homework done, let's go. Routine, routine, routine. And I see moms like this, and there's nothing wrong with routine. I just want to put that out there. It's the way we go about trying to create the routine. And how are you being when the kids get home? Are you a bulldozer? Let's go, let's go. Or are you, hey, how's your day going? Oh, I loved hearing that. Now you know that we're going to first sit down and do our homework before any TV, right? There's a different energy. When you're in masculine energy, you're just like a dog. You're barking and barking and barking. But when you're soft, you're able to receive what they have to say. You're able to have a conversation with them first, to be present with them. Take the time with your children to ask about how they're doing. And then you can say, all right, let's get to it. Mom's going to start cooking dinner. You're going to sit down for your homework. We're going to read for 30 minutes. There's a different energy that you're presenting when you soften. Now, how do you soften? What does that even mean? Soften is the way you approach your children, the energy in which you are portraying. It's the way in which you communicate. It's the way your body language is. Now, I struggle with softening because I am a person that wants to get things done. And when my son comes home at the end of the day and I'm like right in the middle of a project, I'm like, go away. But then I have to remind myself, I need to soften. I need to be present. I need to give him the time he deserves with his mom. So we drop into our body to soften. We understand, what need do I need to meet for myself so that I don't feel like I'm like jaw clenching, claws out type of energy. This morning I took a bath. I didn't feel well. I started recording a little later than I typically would, but it softened me. It helped my stomach feel better. I felt refreshed and rejuvenated and re-energized. So you just have to ask yourself, how can I soften and meet the needs How can I meet my needs so that I can soften? What is going to prepare me to have a whole house full of kids? And sometimes, a lot of time, I struggle with the transition. Now that I don't have my twins full time, and then we have like all the kids from my partner, we're all in the house, 5 kids. And I struggle between like having a quiet house to a very loud house. And my kids are very loud. My daughter, not so much, but my boys, very loud. My partner's kids, very loud. And so I have to mentally prepare myself. And so you could go through a process of your own where you are mentally preparing yourself for the kids coming home from school. Maybe it's taking the time to do affirmations. I trust myself in the way that I'm going to respond to my kids. I'm going to give them the time that they deserve. I'm going to be present. And then we will calmly and collectively tackle our chores and a delicious dinner. And we're going to get all the things that we need to get accomplished in a soft energy. You know, it doesn't have to exactly be that. That's just what's coming to mind. But it can be something that prepares you. Maybe it's lying down for 15 minutes and really touching in with your body and understanding where is it your body is tight? Where are you feeling any aches and pains? And how can you address those things? Maybe it's rubbing CBD balm on your lower back or taking a bath or, doing a meditation. Maybe for you, it's drinking a glass of wine and you're like giving yourself positive affirmations while you're drinking your glass of wine and you're preparing those kids to come home and you're going to be your soft, feminine energy and you're not going to bark like a dog and you're just going to communicate as softly as you can. There are numerous ways that you can soften the mommy role. Have grace with yourself while you discover this for you. Living in abundance and gratitude and being thankful for what you have also is a great way to soften. The 10th skill that every mom should have is self-leadership. Now that we've talked about awareness, connection, presence, communication, being loving, being patient, forgiveness, being flexible, and softening, the 10th is self-leadership. How do you acquire these skills? And I said it in the first step is having awareness. Where within these skills do you need to grow and expand? Perhaps you don't have some of these skills, and that's okay because you can learn them. Because being here on earth is an endless journey of learning if you want it to be. So you can be the best fucking mother that you want to be. You can soften and communicate. You can become self-aware. You can honor your body, your wants, needs, and desires so that you can be a better mother for your children. You can model the behavior that you want to see for your children. Like I discussed in an episode on leadership I noticed my kids were eating junk food because I was eating junk food. And I noticed I was not being a good leader in creating and developing healthy eating habits. So you get to decide where it is you want to be a good leader and know that your children are going to mirror you. If you soften your communication and you stop reacting, I bet you that those children are going to start creating their own communication patterns. They're going to start softening too. They probably won't be yelling so much at their siblings. Now, it's natural for kids to argue and bicker, but that's where we come in with our developed communication skills. And we say, hey, let's sit down. Let's talk about this in a different way. Rather than throwing them in the rooms, which teaches them nothing. Maybe it gives you a break, but it doesn't teach them anything. You want to explain what is going on. What is causing you to react and be frustrated? And you get to elevate this within your self-leadership. You get to become more patient, have grace and compassion for your children. So notice where in your self-leadership you need to expand and hold more love and compassion for yourself. Where can you pivot and adjust and be more flexible so that you're not so stressed out? So you're not trying to control everything that's around you. This is a part about leadership that we need to expand on. We need to grow our self-leadership skills as a mother. So understanding what is within you, what can you grow, what can you learn from, and how can you acquire these skills so that you can elevate the mom role. Thank you so much for being here with me, mamas, for another week of Moms Unboxed. I hope you really enjoyed these 10 skills that every mom should acquire. These are skills that I learned from my own parenting, my own mothering. I hope that these serve you well. If you're interested in more how-tos, tips, and tricks for relationships, intimacy, and parenting, join my Moms Unboxed group on Facebook. I hope that you have a beautiful week. Don't forget to live a liberated, sensual, and unboxed life. Until the next time, sunshine.
Thank you again for joining me for another episode of Moms Unboxed. If you have a topic or relationship question, connect with me at I am Melanie Caroline. And don't forget to follow Moms Unboxed. May you live a liberated, sensual, and unboxed life. I'll be chatting with you next Wednesday for another episode. Until the next time, sunshine.